December is the time for giving. Personally, I celebrate Christmas. However, most of us have some sort of end-of-year tradition we celebrate. Whatever it happens to be, it's usually something based around giving, something based around supporting community, and now is as good a time as any to go and support the projects you like. Now, I'm going to talk about this from a KDE perspective because out of the major desktops, this is the one that I mainly support. Now, Cosmic is a whole separate thing, and that's run by a company, and they don't do donations. That's a whole separate thing, so we're not going to talk about those today. But I like KDE, and I think they're doing a lot of good work for the Linux desktop. If you like GNOME, go support GNOME. I don't care, it is your money. If you want to go support some random low-level tool that everyone seems to forget exists, like, say, Cups, for example, go and support Cups. If you want to go support some random window manager, some random terminal, some random application, go support the application, go support the project that you want to support. I'm not going to tell you what you should support, but I do want to talk specifically about KDE today. And this isn't just about money. I know a lot of you struggle with bills. I know a lot of you are not able to go and support a project like this. But you can go and share posts like this, share the fact that projects are doing fundraisers, share the fact that, hey, the only reason that open source actually manages to work is because of community support. Get the word out there, get more people involved, and make even some tiny amount of difference. Now, as I can actually show you the numbers, specifically with KDE, when you go back to 2023 and earlier, December is the biggest time for donations. Now, the gap isn't as large as in future years, but it is the largest point. I am actually really happy that KDE has this. This is a really great chart, and it really shows sort of donation habits that people have. Let's go back to 2022. It's basically the same. Let's go to 2021. Again, the gap's not as big. Let's go to 2020. Again, the trend is continuing. And whilst I can't see the numbers for other projects, I would have to assume they all follow a very similar trend where at the end of the year, that's where the largest group of donations come from. There are two very important things to keep in mind with the numbers I'm showing here. Firstly, all of these are in euros, not USD. The KDE EV, the non-profit that actually manages the KDE money, that goes and hires people for KDE, things like this is in Europe, this is in Germany. So if you donate in USD, Australian dollars, pesos, I don't know, pick a currency, it's going to be converted into euros. Also, this is just showing the PayPal donations. If you go to the KDE website and go to the donation page, this is going to use DonorBox. So this is not being counted in these numbers. So this is not the entire story. There is a lot more money than what you're seeing here. And since people are donating more at the end of the year anyway, they also run an end-of-year fundraiser. This is 2022, this is 2024, and I already talked about 2025 in a prior video. I thought they ran one in 2023, but this takes me to a 404 page, so I don't know if it's at a different domain or they didn't run one. I was sure they ran one, but I actually don't know, and I can't find any mentions of it, so maybe something else different happened that year. If anyone happens to be involved in KDE and remembers what happened in 2023, let me know down below, or, I don't know, send me a DM or something. Whilst previous year's fundraisers did incredibly well, something big changed in 2024. In this one, the graph looks a bit different. All of these bars look really small, but the reason they look small isn't because donations were just really, really low. Some of the months were a bit lower than they normally would be, like July is really, really low. The reason why it looks like this is there's an extra zero over here, because December that year, again, just on PayPal, was 111,000 euros. So why did this happen? Well, if you're a KDE user, you may have already seen it, or if you haven't started up your system yet on KDE, you may be seeing it very soon. KDE introduced a very, very simple change. A basic notification that shows up once If you say no thanks, it will not show up again until the next year, and it also can be fully disabled. A basic notification saying, hey, if you like KDE, KDE needs your help. Donations fund development and infrastructure important for KDE's continued existence. If you like KDE, donate to KDE. Apparently, I know this is going to sound crazy. Apparently, if you go and ask the people that are using KDE if they want to support KDE, turns out a lot of them actually want to support KDE. What? No, that wouldn't happen. Again, this is not like the Wikipedia thing where they're getting millions of dollars of funding. They can run for 10 years without a single dollar given to them. This is something where every year KDE makes use of this money. They are paying developers. They are running events like Academy. They are actually using the money well. And ask you once. That's all. Just one singular time. And if you say no, they don't bug you again for another 12 months. Looking at history, looking at other projects, I could have told you this was going to work, and I don't know why anybody was kind of worried about it, because there was some skepticism. Is this going to make people donate less? Is this going to turn some people away? Are they going to be annoyed? And I'm sure somebody out there is annoyed, but with it being once a year, there are so many other things that appear on your system a lot more than that you're probably more annoyed by. So when Nate wrote his original blog post about this was about, 3 days? 2 days into December of that year. And by this point, this is what his email box looked like, and they were already at 30,000 euros. This was just a few days into December. And also, this was a bit of a different time for KDE 6. The donation prompt was added for Plasma 6.2. This was on distros like Arch Linux, Fedora KDE, KDE Neon, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, Gentoo, notably the rolling releases, the fast-moving distros. But Kubuntu, I think they might have still been on 5.11. They definitely weren't on 6.2. And Debian also wasn't shipping 6.2 yet. Now, both 2504 and 25.10 are using after Plasma 6.2. I think 2504 is 6.34 or something like that. It's after 6.2. And all of these other slow-moving distros, every single one of them, is now past this version. I don't know what this number is going to look like. But what I do know is a lot more people are going to see the prompt. And it makes sense why this worked. It's the same reason why it worked for Thunderbird, why they made ungodly amounts of money when they started asking for donations. It's the same reason why it works for Wikipedia. Obviously, you can't expect the same level of donations because both of those projects ask way more often. In many cases, people would argue way too much. People would argue too much, but it hasn't stopped them donating, so the numbers don't lie. It might annoy some people, but the numbers don't lie. In this case, though, it's once a year, so the effect is going to be a lot less. But when you ask people for donations, you have to ask them in the places they are going to see it. The desktop being one of those places. But there are blog posts like this one made by Nate. There are plenty of other blog posts out there, other things happening in the FOSS space, and maybe it'll get shared on Reddit, on Hacker News by some just random person who happens to be interested in what's going on here. Or maybe it'll come across my feed, I'll make a video on it, or maybe it'll come across, the feed of Phoronix, and there's an article written about it, or maybe someone else, like the Linux Experiment makes a video on it. But this is all stuff that other people outside the project are doing. The problem that I have, and this isn't just a KDE problem, this is a problem that exists in the entire FOSS space. A lot of FOSS projects, their only social media presence is a Mastodon account, and it has like 300 followers. Some of them maybe have a YouTube account that's uploaded to once a year, maybe. But it's usually just a Mastodon account that nobody interacts with. Maybe there's like one or two likes or repost here and there, and maybe this converts into $100 donations on a really good year. And I understand that running a social media account is boring and time consuming, and is probably not going to get a lot of attention unless you're running it like the FFmpeg account and just, talking shit about people, or running it like, I don't know, the Hyperland account, where on Vaxry's account, he just reposts anime boobs and other things that he does, and this gets people interacting with the account. But if you're going to have a social media presence, you have to do it in a place that people actually use, and nobody uses the Fediverse. It's FOSS people, but it's mainly FOSS developers. You have to be on places that people are going to see your posts. I know people want to make this like some big stance they want to make, but if you're going to run a social media presence, there's no point doing it unless you're actually in the places that people are. If you're not, you're just wasting your time. And I know a lot of FOSS people don't want to hear this, and if you want to run a Mastodon account, that's fine, but you're not going to imagine users onto a platform that they just don't want to be using. And there are people out there that already have a presence. Obviously myself, but there's other people out there like the Linux Experiment, like DT, like various other people in the Linux space. There are media outlets like Phoronix and its FOSS. And basically the only FOSS project that actively reaches out to me is the Cosmic Desktop when they have a new release, some sort of event coming up, things like that. And then every so often I'll get an email from Collabora when they're working on some new driver project. And yeah, I could hop into things like KDE Promo and all of these other promo accounts and promo discussion groups for all of these different projects, but I'm paying attention to like 20, 30 different projects. It would be nice if the people that are already, producing promo stuff, already producing all of this artwork, all of these pages, just like mass sent out an email to people saying, hey, we're doing a fundraiser, you want to promote this, things like that. Anyway, minor rant over. I've talked about this before. I'm going to keep talking about it because every time we come up to a donation period, every time there's some sort of like big promotion event, like nobody tries to like reach out to the people that have a platform and try to collaborate. Anyway, done for now. We'll talk about this again when we get to the same point next year and nobody is trying to like work on anything involved in these projects. So, with the success of last year, I'm sure a lot of KDE people are very interested to see how it's going to pan out for a second year, because whilst I can point to Thunderbird and say, hey, look, Thunderbird did this, it did really well, Thunderbird's a different project, right? Like, you can say it worked in Thunderbird, you can say it works in Wikipedia, you can say it works in all these things, but until you see how it turns out in this specific project, you don't know if it's going to continue working. Did it work last year because a lot of people were talking about the prompt and it was in the news and everyone heard about it, so people were like thinking about KDE donations, and that prompted people who, saw the prompt to go and donate because they're like, oh yeah, I saw a thing about this. So maybe things change. But again, it didn't change with Thunderbird. Now that no one's talking about that, they're still getting a lot of donations, so again, we will see. KDE is far less demanding with it, so you can't really make that mental drain argument. And also this year, KDE's had a very successful start to their fundraiser. So October, they did really well. This was just part of their regular fundraiser period. And this, again, is just on PayPal. Over on DonorBox, they're at 86,000 euros across both October and November. On PayPal, that's about 46,000. So just with those, that's like 120,000, 130,000 euros. And we're not even at the donation prompt. Now, I'm pretty sure the prompt doesn't get shown on the Steam Deck. I'm pretty sure they disable it. However, if you want to go and support KDE, because that is what is being used on desktop mode on the Steam Deck, go and support it. That would be awesome. So Valve does go and actually pay for development through Tech Paladin, which is a KDE consultancy firm, and there is work being done through that. But if you want to support it directly, you can also do so. If you use something like Bazzite Linux, if you're using the SteamOS-like mode, that is shipping with KDE Plasma as the desktop. And if you're using a lot of the really popular distros that are floating around right now, a lot of those are also making use of the KDE desktop as well. Now, GNOME is still quite popular, and if you want to support that instead, again, it's your money, do what you want. And in my case, I am actually making use of the Neri compositor right now, so after this video, I will be going and making another donation to the project. It's just, I want to talk about KDE because out of the desktop environments, again, I think they're the ones who deserve it the most. This video has been a long way to say, go and support the projects you use, and if you can't support it directly, share around posts saying, go and support the project. Talk to your friends that use FOSS, encourage them to donate if they can afford to do so, and create this ecosystem where donating to projects you use is more and more common. And not just to the desktop environments, not just to the distros, but if you can, to the low-level projects as well. Projects like Cups, which powers printing, and random other little things you have on your system that you may not even think about, but may be incredibly important that more people probably should support. And none of this is to say that you have to do so. If you don't want to share a post, if you don't want to donate, you don't have to. It is free. Yes, free software doesn't mean free as in beer, but it's also free, right? If you don't want to, it's your life. Do what you want. But if you have the time to share a post, share a post. If you have the expendable income and you want to support a project, that would be awesome. This hat actually had some text on it. I was just hiding it from you guys. So I'll leave links to supporting KDE down below. And if you want to go support any other projects, again, it's your money. Do what you want. So if you liked the video, go like the video. Let me know which projects you happen to start using this year and which ones you might be interested in trying out next year. I would love to know. So if you liked the video, go like the video, go subscribe as well. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon subscribes Daily Bearer Pay linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and money makes the world go round.